Welcome to another day. Got a couple days of rain in the forecast. It's not like we can really get into a big project at the moment, so we're just going to try to tighten up some loose ends. One of the things we went after right away today is our steering fin for our Volvo. Just did some reshaping and got rid of some of the JB weld that was kind of sticking around. We don't want it to interfere where it actually, how it bolts up to the outdrive. So, but being that there's only one other one in the world on my outdrive, made by Allmand Moody apparently, this will be a decent substitute, that's for sure. Did get out a dust mask. Cautionary tale, aluminum dust almost killed the Tin Man. So keep that in mind when you're grinding on aluminum. But as I said, I got these manifolds. We can pull the tape off of them. Don't want that all getting stuck to it and staying like the old one did and screwing up the mounting surfaces. We also got down our big box of connectors. Last night I was looking and looking and looking, and these parts for these manifolds are adding up. You know, 4 hoses, bunch of metric bolts. Hey, Mercruiser wants $8 a stud. No nut, no washer. That's like another $3. I'm thinking they had somewhere around 12 bucks for the full 1 stud setup for that. I need 8 of them. It's like, no way. I believe they're M8 bolts, metric bolts. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to have to do some testing and figure that out. But I didn't want to jump the gun. And of course, you know, there's always an Edelbrock carburetor over here. It needs to be rebuilt, but that can be done during a rainy day that may be coming up here. And yeah, I'm going to see if I can get some of these loose ends cleaned up. See if I can get that. If I got enough ends there, I can save some money there and find out what size bolts, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to go ahead and get started and see if I can accomplish something today.
Well, I met you, girl, you look real sweet. The kind of girl I like to take home to her mom and me. So I said, come sweet darling.
Time to go cut some exhaust tips. I know a lot of you would think, man, that's crazy. Why are you going to do that to them things? They just need to be polished up a little bit. And I 100% agree with you, except for the fact that they got to stick off this transom. And this transom is the only way in and out of the boat. And they're pretty cool, but like I said, I think I paid 45 bucks for these guys. You know, they usually run about 130. Well, these probably even more. But I'm going to go ahead and whack them off. Not a bad way to spend the afternoon. We cut our exhaust off like you saw, and we took the internal flappers out. Now, I've had internal flappers before, and I had a set that was metal, and they were like clamshells. They would open up like that, you know, back and forth, and those things drove me absolutely nuts. When a motor was idling, a big block, blah 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 blah, it would go clank 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 clank. Sounded like a rod knock. I mean, it drove me absolutely crazy. I was constantly looking the motor over, thinking I had a rod knock, and it was these stupid flappers. Now, these here happen to be the rubber internal ones, where just the little flap here screws down, and it's rubber. And I've found that basically, if you can find something flexible enough, it'll fold up inside of here and let exhaust free flow out. You'll also find something that'll be sitting in the bay, because the big block will just rip this stuff out and just blow it out. We did away with those. And yeah, I staged a little bit here. I did a little polishing and cleaned them up, made sure I got rid of all the silicone and everything like that. And put these flappers on. Didn't I just kind of set them on there just to get them out of the way. And now they are ready to go in excellent shape. And like I was saying before, there's absolutely no way that I was going to put these exhaust tips with these stilettos sticking out. I mean, here on the 19, you step up on above the prop here on the back of the outdrive, then you step up on the outdrive, and you step into the boat. It's the only way to get in. You're not getting up on the bow. There's no place to hang a ladder except right here, which that's where upholstery is. There's no way I'm going to do that. And it's so simple. But as you see, if those things stuck out another 6 inches, I'd have kids with lots of stitches, I'm sure. So they had to go. But now these are ready to go, so that's a plus. Even found the screws for them, these nice little slotted screws. They would have polished up nice. The only problem is I only got 3 of them that are in good enough shape to use. I am not breaking off a screw into the transom on this boat especially. I mean, it's a virgin transom. So no breaking screws off, but I'll have to get some of those. Then we came in here for a little while, and yeah, we saw a lot of that. But get this out of the way real quick. We got our steering fin on. As I said, these things are so rare that you don't want it to wear away like zinc. You'd better off painting it or something just to keep it from wearing. Then I spent a lot of time on my exhaust manifolds. And like I was saying before, the parts are adding up. Of course, I figured they would. I was hoping that I had some already in stock, and lucky enough I have. I found enough elbows to do everything. Also gathered enough hose clamps. 1 or 2 of them may be a tiny bit too long, but that's what tin snips are for. They have enough travel, that's all it's necessary. Not like you're going to be taking these off and on a regular basis. As I said, there's our 4th one. Started my, or not started, but just testing out my oil filter stand. I believe this one will end up going up underneath because it already has a dog leg on it here, so I think we're going to mount that part right there up underneath it here. And it just depends. I mean, if the oil filter hangs down too low to where it becomes inconvenient, we'll put it on top. I am having a hard time finding the studs, bolts, nuts. I don't have anything metric in my establishment. It's kind of like voodoo in my world. So we just gonna have to go to the hardware store and pick up some other nuts and bolts anyway. Yeah, I kind of get it. It's kind of boring, but you know, it's stuff that has to be done. I mean, the exhaust isn't gonna shorten itself, and it really would have looked silly on a 50-year-old boat, don't you think? Just saying. I mean, that was something for like a 80s Scarab or something. We're good. Well, we're golden. We're all set. We're fine. Any one of those things you want to take. But I'm going to put this stuff away and I'm going to call it a night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to another day. Yeah, the weatherman was right this time. It's been raining all day. And we're heading away. We did get some news on this. The key will be in the day after tomorrow. That's a plus. Thank God it's not on back order or have to come from China, because then I wouldn't see it until next fall. But it's nice to see some stuff all kind of cleaned up and ready to go over here. I do have gaskets for it, and actually the gaskets for the manifolds, the exhaust gaskets, are already stuck on the block. Same exact manifolds came off, so it shouldn't be an issue. Kind of got me into cleaning up my bench over here. And when I'm doing that, that usually means I'm about to fool with a carburetor. Got this one off of eBay. It took forever to find a carburetor under $200. Not that I'm cheap. I just don't think I should have to pay more than $200 for a used Edelbrock that's been around for 40 or 50 years. In this case, this one looks like it's been around for just a couple years though. It's got the newer type of fasteners, you know, those star type. Even the bleeds here are actually got stars in them too. It has a different color compared to the older ones. The older ones had that kind of a greenish kind of tone. This is more along their automotive line color. I know it hasn't been painted because there's absolutely no right person in their mind would completely disassemble a carburetor down to its last little everything and then paint it. There's just, those two people are not going to be the same people. Somebody that takes a carburetor all the way down and rebuilds it in its original finish, yeah. Your guy that paints a carburetor without taking much of it apart, yeah, not both. We have a gasket set or a rebuild set. I just want to freshen up the insides. You know, who knows, it may have been sitting around for a day or two, or it may have been sitting around for a couple years. You never know with these guys. I mean, when I say newer style, this style's been around for probably a decade. But all my other ones, which actually I think I'm down to one now, on the BZ, it's got the single blade screws, you know. So enough about the screws. I understand if you want to get that last millisecond out of a quarter-mile run and why people go with Holley. Yeah, but you know, those power valves and metering blocks and gaskets and gaskets and gaskets, and then the bowls hang off sideways, and even the marine stuff, I still don't understand how Holley Marine is actually marine compliant, because the bowls hang off the side of the thing still. So, but enough about that. We're just going to go ahead, and as I said, we need to take it all apart. We're going to stack everything up right here on this nice clean white paper towel, and then hopefully it's just commence the cleaning and reassembling with some nice new gaskets. What I like to do, and pretty much everybody else does, is we pull these metering rods out, because when you pull the cap off, the little rods are kind of delicate. You don't want to get them cocked and kind of screwed up or bent or anything, so it's just a precautionary. You don't actually have to do it, but that's one thing I do. You got to take this lever off, which is just a little carter pin there, or a little slide pin. Pull this one off the accelerator pump, and that one off the choke, and undo these screws, and the whole top will lift off. And from there, there'll be some jets like these two here. They just screw in with 2 screws or 2 of these stars, and it'll pretty much be the same thing in the front. Everything else just lifts right out. The blades here, they lift out, all the rest of it. But here we go.
Since I said, country darling, please don't leave. Never let me go, you're my baby. Yeah. Love you, sweet baby.
Now you see why I would never let a newly bought carburetor just kind of float through my garage and end up on a motor. Yeah, this guy's been sitting for a little while, and that's not good stuff. The inside the carburetor, you suck down your motor through your valves, all that good stuff. But we are going to continue on. We'll have to break this guy down also, as we can see. I'm just seeing better days. My accelerator pump is not looking too acceleratable. Floats, seats all come off with the top. Gaskets underneath of it. Make sure you put the gasket on before you do anything else. I've caught myself doing that quite a few times. Get seats in, start putting the floats on, everything's ready to go, and it's like, okay, now I got to put the gasket on. And I need to take the floats back off. So, but yeah, this is it's a bit dirty and it has kind of an oily smell. They had the accelerator pump up on the 3rd lever, which means they were dumping gas. Probably had an issue with the motor, loading up, all that good stuff. We will see. I'm just going to go ahead now and I'm going to pop off the choke, all these squirters, and then I'll pull this butterfly out. Yeah, see, it's a little, everything's just a little gummy and old. So we'll get all that out. We'll soak these guys, that way they can clear out inside the pipes, and then we'll blow them all out real good. Yeah, we got a lot to go here. accomplish what we thought we were going to. But I gotta say, I didn't expect this stuff to be as dirty as it was either. I mean, that's what I, in there, got out of these minor pieces here. Those guys over there had a whole paper towel full of black. So it just took more time, more soaking, more time. And it's about 8 o'clock, so I'm calling it a night. I did sort out all my gasket. Of course, it's a universal kit. So I got out the ones that are needing to be replaced here. And the only thing I've got this discrepancy about is this little thing here with the ball. I'm not sure what it's called. It's some kind of whatever. Mine over here is much smaller. Thinking I may go back with the original. Sometimes, you know, these universal kits, they're not so universal. Oh well. It'll be just as good with the last one in it, so. And everything else is all cleaned up and ready to go. Tomorrow will be assembly, and we'll see you then.
Never let me go, you're my baby. Love me sweet baby.
Welcome to another day. Sun has finally come out, and it's late in the afternoon. It's almost 4 o'clock now, so yeah, it's not gonna really matter a whole lot besides just drying up some of this wetness out there. So we're back here at our Edelbrock 750 1410 carburetor, a marine job, if you will. Got everything cleaned up. Just finished doing my final clean on my body parts down there. Just left them on the floor because they're out of the way. And as we all know, Mark has very limited space around here. It's one of the reasons why, even though the sun did come out, I'm going to finish this up, because there's absolutely no way I'm going to leave this sit around and have something disturb it at some point. But a Edelbrock is about as easy as it gets. As we saw, taking them apart is pretty darn straightforward. I know a few of you would probably be like, oh, jeez, man, why didn't you take the butterflies out? Why didn't you pull the shafts and all that stuff? Not necessary. As I said, we're refreshing. We're not necessarily rebuilding because there was an issue with the carburetor. Nice thing about Edelbrocks also is like shafts and stuff like that. They really don't come into play except for right here and right here. And all that body work is basically a seal. I mean, they are fit and, you know, all that good stuff. Also, not going to pull the jets because I don't plan on replacing the jets with the metering rods. They're one in the same, you know, group package there, so I don't want to take a chance. They're brass, of course. You get a screwdriver in there perfectly and just give them a tweak the wrong way, and you may stretch one out or change it around a little bit. And I don't have any to replace it with, so they stay. They cleaned up nice. The rest of the carburetor looks pretty darn good. And as I said, our parts are looking pretty darn good too. It's time to put one and one together and make one. I guess that's that new math. Okay, we got our nozzles back in, got our squirter for our accelerator pump back in, got our flaps back in here, our butterflies. That moves so nice. Remember the last time? It was like, click. Now it's exactly how it's supposed to work. With that part done, everything put back together, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of this. And replace it with this. It's funny, most of the replaceable parts go in this. It's like 4 gaskets, I believe, or 5 gaskets. Yeah, and the bottom half, that's basically it. 5 gaskets that go in the whole thing. But go ahead and get started here. just moving along here, and I put my new needles and seats in, and I put my floats on. Look at them guys. I noticed that as I was taking it apart that those floats seemed awful high. I mean, I'm supposed to be able to get a 3/8 inch drill bit to go underneath of this. Now, of course, I changed the seats and the pins, but I don't know. I kind of noticed that one last time when I was taking it apart. But let's continue on with this mission. And with part 2 done, it's time to marry the top with the bottom. The only tricky part about part 2 is you got to get the floats set properly. And a simple way of doing that is using a 3/8 inch drill bit and just laying it down there. And then you set your drop at 1 inch, which is easy enough to measure off of one of these guys here. But it makes it that much simpler. If you have a 1 inch drill bit, you know, you can always use it also. But as I said, you just get that guy right underneath it there. As long as it touches it, that's all you need. And I really think the drop is just to prevent the floats from actually hitting the bottom of the bowls and bouncing on it. You know, it's just if you run out of gas instead of just letting it bang bang bang, but I would believe running out of gas would be a bigger issue than just having them do that. So, and I believe it's another thing is it's just to prevent the needles falling out of the seats, but in reality it would almost have to turn around backwards before that needle would fall out of there. The main thing about it is it's just getting enough to where it shuts it off when it gets about full enough. But now that I've got part 2 and part 1 sitting here, it's time to put these guys together and get this thing over with. The bench is missing the carburetor. It must be a good thing. We're all assembled, and then I decided, what the hell, I'm going to put it back on the motor here, start fitting up some of the lines, you know, for my positive crankcase ventilation. I'm a proponent of that, even in a boat. Edelbrock likes it coming off the front. The hole in the bottom is smaller than it is for the brake booster. Just so an FYI, even if you're running an Edelbrock in a car and you're thinking, no, I don't use brake boosters, whatever, I'm going to just run it right off the back. Don't do that, because you'll be drawing more vacuum than it's really designed to do. And yeah, we're ready to go here. I mean, I found an old flame arrestor I had up on the shelf over here, along with my other, I think I have 10 carburetors. Yeah, some of the nicer ones, like I have a brand new 600 Holly that I bought with a race boat motor out of a junkyard, or the core of a motor. And it's a Holly 600 for a car. What am I going to do with it? So it sits on the shelf. Maybe someday somebody will be like, hey, anybody got a Holly 600? I just want to build a flat bottom race boat or something where it doesn't matter what you put on them. I will be ready for them. But until then, it's shelf bound. As I said, though, we've fooled around a little bit with the lines. I don't have the right fitting to make a rubber line hook up to the carburetor. I mean, I do have one, but by the time the 3 fittings get together, it sticks out like this far. And that's not what we're looking for when we can just order one, and it's not going in the boat today anyway, so it's no big deal. So that's about where we're at now. We've got our carburetor done, and we're going to go do some shopping, and we'll see you tomorrow. Alright, it looks like we have a winner here. As you can see, I got my multimeter out, got my new key in, I'm not even going out to the boat until I find out if it works. Seems to work fine, just torturing it a little bit. You know, it's got many more years, hopefully, of that same exact existence. But we're all good. It's time to go put it in the boat finally. Oh, and welcome to another day. I'm really ready to get into this one. I'm ready to set a motor. I'm ready to put an out drive on. I'm ready to do a lot of things. It's just the weather, as deceptive as it is today, because this is pretty much the first time we've seen the sun, has not been very cooperative. And on top of that, with this one not working, yeah, it's just bad news all the way around. Something about a broken boat just don't kind of float my boat, so to speak. I mean, this one is so reliable. Knock on fiberglass here, Mr. Race Boat. But this one's always been so reliable. I mean, you hit the key. I've burned motors up going home and everything, but I mean, it's never been stranded. And this key situation, I mean, the last thing you want to do is go over to the yacht club and have dinner or something, and then go out and have to roll on your bilge to get your boat started. That's a little degrading, I guess we'd call it. Well, it's never easy. I have this slender style, and I bought this more girthy one, I guess we can put it. And the girthy one won't go in this hole right here. It stays on the outside, so that won't penetrate the outside of the dashboard, so I can actually put a nut on it. Time to get out the implement of destruction here, my Dremel with a carbide bit on it, and we're just going to take some of that hole out. Going back to these slender ones is not an option. These are 3 that actually failed in a row, and as you can see, this is only like, I don't know, 8-9 months. Look at this thing. It's all green and tore up. So as I said, I went with this different style, different maker, and we're going to try something different this time because I'm tired of failing. I went ahead and got the key installed. Still had an issue. Wasn't like it was, but there was still something going on, like I was getting low voltage or something. So I tore the whole wiring harness apart up, and took each one, knocked it off, put a new end on, shrink wrapped it, went to the next ones, knocked them off, did this all the way around the key. Everything seems to be fine now. I did find 1 or 2 little minor issues, like some of the insulation had slid up a little bit, but that shouldn't have done anything. I don't understand that. But everything is so far, it's so good. I've been to where the battery makes connection to the wire that sends to the dashboard, i.e. to the key, because that's what turns most of the dashboard on. I've been there. I've been here. This has a new end. I've also put a new end on where the solenoid wire goes on the starter, and I've put a new end on this end of where the solenoid gets power from when they turn the key on. Not really sure what else to do at this point if this starts again. We're going to see. But in the process of doing all this, I was fooling with the key back and forth, and it just started itself. I mean, I love this boat. It's just getting this to talk to this. That's all it is. This needs to get 12 volts sent to it to the starter, and it'll run perfectly. Or at least it did when I put it away. But I need to clean up some of this mess, and then I am going to see if I can actually get it started for real. I'm not 100% sure that I got it, but I'm about 99% sure I got it. It could have easily been one of those ends, I don't know, arcing, doing something. It could have easily been the key. I don't know. All I know is it's working fine now, but it's done that in the past where it worked fine. But this time around, I'm getting the voltage going through and no dips, things like that. So, I don't know. Another 4 hours. My next step is, as I said, I mean, I've hit every connection between A, B, to back to B, A again. And if this doesn't do it, then all I know is start taking wiring out and replacing it all and just putting in new direct straight to, which I thought that's what it was in the first place, but if I have more issues, there must be something in there that's not supposed to be, and I just can't imagine what it would be, because I made sure everything was home runs. There's no, and I can't see where it would be broken at either. I mean, that's just very odd. I mean, I could see an end snapping off or getting loose inside the crimp or something like that, but I just can't see mid-wire it breaking. That's just stupid. But that's all I got for today. I've still got some cleaning up to do, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Oh, we're recording already. Ha ha ha. Hi. That didn't work. Let's do that again. We're just going to do it over. I had to sand it down a bit. This ain't working at all. Of course, we have our manifold sitting over here. We have a dump truck coming down the road. Alright, I'm done. So, yeah, it's not like that, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe this is so hard to start. Huh, must have been right. Pause for a second. Here we go.